Welcome to the Seireitei, a Bleach podcast brought to you by Yachiru's Famous Sweets. If you don't give her any, then she'll just eat you instead. I'm Lethan, one of the admins, and today I am joined with Del.
Hey everyone.
Shiki.
Hello guys.
Elv.
Hello.
And how are you guys all doing?
Brilliant.
Pretty good.
We're doing okay.
We're all getting there in the world, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, very much so.
Cool. So, guys, we were to watch the first 3 episodes, and then we were going to discuss those episodes. So hopefully everybody listening has had the chance to do that as well. So we'll kickstart by doing a little bit of a recap on what those episodes were. So, Elv, do you want to take us through episode 1?
Yep. So, episode 1, obviously, is going to be the first episode into this brilliant anime that we've all collectively fallen into, that is Bleach. So, first we delve into the world of Bleach, starting with an absolutely banging opening, actually, that is only a snippet of the amazing OST to come throughout the entire series.
Yes.
We brilliantly follow this up with a ominous figure of Rukia, as we will soon learn to be her name, with her eerie-esque kind of monologue that she does. And then quickly going into Ichigo fighting some punks to protect this soul, which kind of gives us a bit of an insight to his not-so-normal power. Then, thus leading into him introducing himself. We find that he's Ichigo, he's 15, and then going into his oh-so-normal family with his quirky father and lovely sisters, and just a poster for a mother, which really tells us that, again, the brilliant trope of one parent, not the teacher.
That's never been done before.
No, it's totally a new idea.
He might or might not be the main character. We'll find out.
It could be this Ishin guy. He seems a bit, his personality screams main character.
Oh, we're gonna get into that in a second. Oh.
Then, obviously, on the way to school, you have to be attacked by some monster to thus inject the enemy into the storyline in such a great way. And there we also actually see Ichigo's will to help and protect, which is a good thing to be put in very fast from the fighting the punks to this moment. And then introducing Rukia in her brilliant... Oh, I just can't think of any better words for her in this moment of killing this hollow. It's a great moment that we don't see much of her awesome moments for a while in the first season, actually.
Yeah, very true.
So I will admit that's a favourite part of mine, so I got really excited when I actually remember that. Which actually leads kind of abruptly into Ichigo lying in his room, just minding his own business, when a girl walks through his wall, because, again, that's so normal. Just for this lovely girl to also get rid of the soul that has been bugging him. Then it leads into my absolute favourite part of Ichigo being in denial after he gets absolutely knocked to the ground with Rukia, being absolutely terrified that he can see her. And then his denial, as I said, about not understanding or believing in soul reapers, even though he speaks to ghosts, which is just my favourite personality for Ichigo. And then those follows into the fight for his sisters, obviously, and then seeing the odd circumstances that he's, again, not so damn normal when he can break a keto spell, and leading on to more of a hollow fight and that life and death decision that puts Ichigo definitely as the main character. Del, just in case they were still
Thank you for confirming. I appreciate that.
He's the main character. Lo and behold, he makes the decision whether to die or to become a soul reaper, because those are his 2 options, Well, it's just a simple question. And then we get introduced to Ichigo in a lovely black robe and a long-ass damn sword. And
because size matters, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's the biggest thing. And then he just takes out the hollow, completely knowing how to. Doesn't ask questions, just goes for it. And then we have that dramatic, I am now employed, apparently. Unemployed Ichigo is now not only a student, he is now a soul reaper. And then leads into the brilliant ending song, which is one of my favourites. And that is episode 1.
Yay! And then episode 2 kicks off. We've got Rukia who turns up at his school because it's a nice normal morning. He wakes up. His family seems to think that a truck just ploughed into their house because that's normal. And then goes to school, and lo and behold, who's there but Rukia, who's wrote a very threatening message on her hand just to make sure that he doesn't say anything. Then she corners him outside. As you do, absolutely. And then she corners him outside and she says to him, okay, you need to do my job. And she starts giving him a speech whilst he's like, no, it's not happening. And then she explains, like, all my powers are gone. I'm currently in a Gigai, and this is our first time we're getting introduced to what a Gigai is, which is a temporary body used by a soul in terms of an emergency or in times of emergency.
Totally not creepy.
Not creepy at all. So that's how other people can see her now. We're now understanding that. And then we find that there is a hollow attack. So Rukia takes Ichigo out of his body by use of force, which, not consensual, kind of got problems with. She uses a glove that's got a very unusual marking on it. Takes him out of his body as soul form, and then takes him to this park where this hollow is attacking this little boy. And she says to him, look, if you're going to save him, you need to be willing to save all souls and do my job for me. You can't just pick and choose. So they have a bit of backwards and forwards whilst this hollow, which is clearly meant to be faster than the boy, doesn't seem to catch up. It's a usual horror. It's a usual horror trope though, isn't it? It doesn't matter how fast the athletic guy's running away from the horde of dragging zombies, they're still the same distance away from him.
So convenient.
It's so convenient, but it's brilliant nonetheless. And then we're introduced to Orihime, or we've already been introduced to Orihime, but now we see that she got knocked down by a car, and she has a really interesting bruise on her leg, which is very ominous. And Rukia seems to recognise it, so we start to notice a little bit something's going on here. And then we get introduced to a backstory of Rukia's about her brother who ended up perishing, and is strongly hinted at that the next hollow we're about to encounter is actually in fact Orihime's brother, which takes us to episode 3, I believe, Shiki.
In episode 3, we have the core fight of that entire arc there. We have Ichigo traveling over to Orihime's house to see all the damage that's been done, where her brother knocks Orihime's soul out of her body.
Like he breaks in.
Yeah.
Just to mention that part, he never knocked.
Oh yeah, doesn't knock. And during this fight, we see a conflict of an internal conflict between Orihime and Orihime's brother, where he's fighting the new instinctual hollow that's trying to take over, and his old human self. And throughout the fight, we see this conflict and learn that hollows still retain at least a little bit of their humanity, especially if they've been forcibly turned into a hollow. So much to the point where at the end we get to see Orihime's brother decide to end his own existence as a hollow by his own will to save Orihime. And we also learned the fun fact that... What was that?
I was just going to say, that's cementing that beautiful bond of siblings.
Some siblings want to kill each other, but other siblings want to... And this seems to be a combination
of both. Siblings want to kill themselves.
But at this point, we also learn the core fact that if you kill a hollow, it's not actually going to die so much as go on to the Soul Society.
Yeah, a piece of information Rukia should have said to Ichigo, because then he wouldn't have, maybe just not have hesitated when he went to attack.
Yeah, I think I would have led that.
That's true. That's pretty key.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Unless you've got anything more for episode 3, Shiki?
Nope, that's all the bullet points I got.
Solid. So yeah, Elf, that's actually not a bad segue into folks. We're gonna talk about the episode. So thank you for those summaries, the three of you. And I also wanted to add that as our listeners are probably aware, you can watch Bleach in the original Japanese, and you can watch it with subtitles if you want to, or you can watch it dubbed over in a variety of languages. I myself, I've been going back and forth with the sub and the dub. I think Shiki's been doing that also. Yep. Yeah.
Yes,
And I
I have
think
something to touch on that
Lathan and
later.
Elle, you've been watching it in English, correct?
Yes.
Cool. So yeah, so we might some of us might be encountering different words, different turns of phrase. Like I remembered going back and watching some episodes subbed for the first time and hearing like, oh, okay, cool. Like the translation of like 13 court guard squads, go take 13, whatever you like. That came across in a bunch of different ways. So we might encounter different words, different phrases, different like ways characters refer to themselves and other people as we discuss, and like all of it is kind of correct because we're all speaking English about something originally written in Japanese anyway. So I just wanted to put that out there. So, what were your takeaways from this series of episodes, y'all?
That's
I
a
just start?
big question.
Go for it, Shiki.
Yeah, go for it.
The opening of episode 1. I watched it in Japanese first. Theme song, of course, is Kick-Ass, gets you right into the mood of the series.
So good.
But the first huge difference between sub and dub. Rukia does not monologue in the subtitled version. You just see the words on the screen and not this monologue
We
that,
stand in awe for that which we cannot see.
like, am I watching an
really-
action
you
movie
really
or am I
just-
listening to Shakespeare in the Park?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I am. My childhood is over. I never knew that. I don't like that fact.
It just felt awkward listening to Rukia monologue to no one like she's going crazy.
I mean, you're right. You are right. But like, I know that's. I used to know it off by heart. Now I only know the first sentence, like the "we stand in awe for which that we cannot see" or something like that. And now I'm just like, wait, seriously, this bitch. But again, we can't actually like read Japanese unless you know Japanese, I guess.
Although, doesn't Ichigo kind of do that too? Over the course of certainly episode 1, it doesn't come back for a minute, but the whole part where he's like, "I'm Ichigo Kurosaki. I'm 15, and I'm going to school." Like that's all in his head over
That's actually a
other
very
images,
interesting
right?
cultural difference also in this, because yes, that's true. But the thing is, in Japanese, in the Japanese culture, they value silence to set the mood. While in America and other Western cultures, we value having the voices the words keep going, because we don't like silence in the Western cultures. I forget where I read that, but it was some weird study for that kind of entertainment.
Yeah,
I'm also
that does make
wondering
sense.
whether target demographic might influence some of that, because I think it's pretty easy at the very least. Like I've got some pals here and folks who are well out of school who like know that I watch anime, and it's pretty easy to look at the screen and go, oh, that's a cartoon, that's for kids. Whereas in Japan, obviously it's taken for granted that just because it's animated, that does not mean it's for kids. Whereas I'm wondering if some of that was maybe lost in translation when it came to the West, perhaps, if they were like, oh, this has got big swords and cool music and a punk ass teen, like this is going to appeal to 12-year-olds maybe. I wonder if that could have influenced that choice.
I think that's a really good point, Dale, and I think you're right, and I think potentially it could also be that Ichigo's wearing his school uniform, isn't he? So in Japan, they know what a school uniform looks like in Japan. They know what that means for his age, but over in Western culture, we wouldn't know that was a school uniform for Japan. So we would maybe think, I mean, looking at Ichigo, he looks like he's early 20s, and he does.
Yes.
So we would maybe look at this character straight away and go, okay, he's coming home from work, not from school. So without that monologue, we wouldn't potentially know straight away his age.
Yeah, and I guess I also think it was in the whole dubbed. I think they thought it would be a better alternative to just subbing underneath the Japanese words that introduces it as well. If that's what you said, wasn't it? It's written around or something, or is it just not
written,
implied
right?
at all?
You see words flashed on the screen, isn't that right?
So I think that's probably why they didn't want to have that flash of like normal words. So they included that in a monologue because again, it's something that's used a lot. I guess I do prefer it that way because I guess it gives it a bit of a Actually, no, because we never see it used much ever after that, do we? So I guess it's more of that pilot episode that has that difference of Ichigo introducing himself. I don't know. I've always find it really cute and quirky when he did it, and it drew my attention, if anything. And the monologue scene. So I think it made up for that. People don't want to read in other cultures. Like, we're not used to reading on the screen. I find that's also very more so for the Japanese or those type of cultures. They have those, those flashing on the screen, the words, where we might necessarily don't. So that inner monologue does make up for that, because we don't want to just be reading off the screen, I guess. Because I've never really seen much of our Western animated anything that does that very much. I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've watched anything animated in Western other than anime.
Yeah, it's just something you only find in the Asian cultures, from what I've seen.
Yeah, because I've even watching, I'm currently watching stuff on YouTube in the Koreans, at shows and stuff, and those popping of words on the screen is very, very, of the norm. You see it very often, and where in Western we don't. So I guess that inner monologue does just make up for the, subtitling underneath it, which would make it also just look not that great. So I actually kind of think it's a good thing that they did that.
Yeah, they know their audience is, I guess, what it comes down to.
Exactly, which is, interesting.
Cool.
Another thing that I noticed about the subbed and the dubbed is obviously the teasing words that they use. I don't know exactly what they used in the sub, but did you find any difference? Because I'm actually curious about that, of how they talk to each other different, the teasing words they use.
Yeah, I'm really curious about this.
The punk kids in the beginning, or?
Oh, just in general. I had a example in my head, and then it left.
Well, I have an example, but it's not until episode 2, and it was in the
manga.
That's
okay. I think we can probably mix the episodes as we chat.
Yeah. Well, in the manga, there's a moment where Rukia on the dub, the anime, she says, "You big brute," when she's talking about him. "Oh, I practiced this overnight, you big brute," or something. She says to him. But in the manga, she calls him big boy, and then he goes, "Oh, that's disgusting." And then he's like, "Where did you learn that?" And she's like, "Well, your culture. This is what I've picked up after spending all night trying to learn about your culture." And I just burst out laughing. So I don't know if they had big boy in the sub.
I don't remember if it was big boy, big brute, or anything like that. But I do remember when she was reading from the book that was supposed to be contemporary language. It was in Japanese, modern Japanese, even though it was very much so not modern.
Yeah, I think in the dub it was almost Shakespearean English she was speaking. So it was that kind of not really of this world. Not well, it was, but going back 200 years maybe.
Yeah, she's on the wrong generation.
Yes.
Understandably. Which is actually
maybe that's just what happens when you're Byakuya's sister. Who knows? But yes.
Yeah. But the point of that though is it kind of brings a point that interesting that she doesn't know much about the world of the living, when it shows that she kind of should later on. Not spoiling anything, but it's a bit interesting that she acts like she doesn't know anything, yet to a weird degree. Because even with the juices and not knowing where to put the straw in them, it's just come on, that's just a bit. I know it's for the comedic relief and stuff, but it's just
Well, then I suppose when were juice boxes invented? Probably in the last 30 years or 20 years or something, right?
They're pretty,
maybe longer than that,
contemporary,
actually.
Right?
Yeah. Because if we think about her being 150 years old, this could be her first mission to the world of the living.
Or it could be the first time that she's had to interact with physical objects in the world of the living. Because I'm thinking about all of the other missions. Yeah. Because you don't use because we know that Gigais have only been around for 100 years or less. Actually, we know that for sure, right?
I didn't. That's interesting.
That'll come up.
Because that will come up eventually. I can't remember if that's the first instance of using Gigais, or whether it was just the most intense instance of using Gigais. We'll get there eventually, folks. But if you've read the manga or seen the anime up to now, I'm totally referencing Turn Back the Pendulum. I think Gigais are a pretty new invention. Oh yeah, that's okay. Well then I'm gonna leave it there, but because we'll get around to it. I don't want to give too much away in case folks are like watching for the first time along with us or anything like that. So yeah, I might come back and correct myself later, but I think that Gigais are a relatively new technology for Shinigami, and it's quite possible that Rukia and all the other folks that go on missions to the world of the living normally don't have reasons to use Gigai in the first place. Because if everything had gone smoothly, she would have dispatched the Hollow and then just popped back to Squad 13 and been like, bye, and that would have been the end of it, and then we wouldn't have Bleach, you know?
Yeah.
Depressing.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Well, I mean, maybe we would have, because Ichigo is still Ichigo, but...
Yeah, and
so
plus,
Ichigo wasn't an
she
idiot.
would still have had the thing inside her, which will come up later. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Sorry.
Anyway, so
I'm
Bleach
not sorry.
still would have happened, but it would have been not as fun as it is.
Yeah,
Ichigo
the arcs
wouldn't have
maybe
been
would have
involved.
happened in a different order. The stakes would have been different or something.
Yeah, but I mean, if Ichigo wasn't such a must protect everybody, Rukia would have been fine also.
Yeah, that's true.
I find that then that comes into play with like his protection of everybody is
Yeah,
I've loved that it's played at the very beginning. Like it's so lovely to see that doesn't change, and it doesn't through the entire anime. Going back to watching the first episodes, it gives you that sense of Ichigo will always protect, and it's obviously ever since he's been a kid. I don't know what it is about just it's like it gets him in trouble all the time. I'm trying to figure out how to say this without spoilers and stuff for people
I
who
noticed
haven't
something
read.
pretty similar. Yeah, especially the very, very beginning, the first time you see him ever. Like, he's walking along, he's got his tough guy face on or whatever, and the first thing he does is get into a fight. And so you hear him talk and you see him scowling and you're like, oh, this kid's a total punk. But then when you learn why he's beating up these other assholes, it's like, it's a very clear distinction. It's like, no, these dicks are the real punks here. Ichigo is like capital letters, not that kind of punk. He's like, he's not going to follow the rules when yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like,
he's a grumpy kid who was bullied, and he's got he has a reputation, as you'll see in one of the next coming episodes, that he's so worried about is his reputation. He's built this reputation of being a tough guy for a reason. It's because, he's always been this little kid that was weak, couldn't even fight Tatsuki, and he's built
Which, no shade to Tatsuki, because that's no small order. I don't want to fight Tatsuki, are you kidding me?
I wouldn't either. But yeah, we see this kid that's just, grumpy and, like you said, brutish and like punk, but he's just this soft little marshmallow on the inside.
I think as well, one of the big things for me for that was that we're seeing somebody stand up for somebody else that can't stand up for themselves.
Yep.
Like, this spirit cannot physically stand up for herself because she's, she can't interact with them to that degree, and so he's stepping in to do it for her. And I think that's a huge part of his personality going forwards as well, is he stands up for the powerless, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And that will be my favourite part of Ichigo, and his attitude, which is it's one of my favourite things, just that brooding, scowling guy that he is, which is, he never changes that either, but the thing that changes a lot through the anime is his kind of, he's a lot more childish. Not childish, that's not the right word. He's definitely, you can tell he's a teen from the way he acts in the first season and first episode, and going back onto rewatching them, you realise how much he does actually mature. As much as he is still a bit of an immature little shit half the time, he matures so much, and it's like, he really does start out as a 15-year-old high school student that can see ghosts, and then he will turn into this, badass that can still see ghosts.
Shiki, what are your thoughts?
When I was first watching it, I was like, I had trouble remembering everything that happened in the later episodes, so I was learning about this character anew, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm taking it from the perspective of trying to watch it as someone who's just coming into the series again. And for a new person watching this, I could see a lot of people relating with Ichigo. And first thinking he's just some kind of punk, of course, beating up other gangs. And when they realize he has that soft side to him and he's actually doing things for a reason, I feel some people will relate to that, want to be tough outwardly, but wanting to also do the right thing. And you can see that reflecting in some other characters as well, especially later down in the series. But then you can see that contrast with Rukia's character, how she feels that need to constantly do as she is ordered and following the orders for the betterment of humanity, especially in episode 2 when you get to the first job that she brings him on.
Yeah, it's I think as well we've got, I don't know about you guys, because I know that Dale and Shiki, you were watching the sub, so you will maybe have some notes about the difference between the sub and the dub. But I've got a couple of notes about how the manga is different to the actual anime. Do you want me to?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So in the manga, actually, we don't see Rukia for the first time when she defeats that hollow in the city centre. So when we see the Ichigo and the ghost girl running away from this big explosion, and then Rukia shows up and we see her cut this hollow in half, pretty much. We don't meet Rukia then. Our first time meeting her is obviously when she's standing on top of that big lampposty thing, or utility pole, whatever you want to call it. But then the next scene of her is when she comes through Ichigo's wall in the manga, which I thought was quite interesting. That's when we sort of see her, and then obviously Ichigo kicks her and she's like, what the heck, you can see me? But then, funnily enough, his dad comes in and he's pointing Rukia out to his dad. I know, which is a big thing for later. We'll discuss again later. But Ishin's just like, nope. And then we don't even see Ishin's reaction fully. We just see him being like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And then it cuts to like Ichigo just being in the room by himself and calling her a freaking wannabe samurai. And then
that's fabulous. Sorry, I can't get over the Ishin thing. That's freaking fabulous. We're going to come back to that down the road. Holy wow. Holy wow.
Yes. Tell me about it.
Manga.
Tell me about it.
Love Squad 10?
I never knew that.
So yeah, but that's without giving anything away, we'll definitely be revisiting that point. But anyway, after the freaking wannabe samurai comment, another really interesting change was in the anime. It is Yuzu that comes to his room and then says that Karin's been captured, but actually it's the other way round. So in the manga, Yuzu is captured by the hollow and Karin comes to say it's got Yuzu.
I'm curious as to why they've done that change. Either they didn't read it properly or there was a reason. Maybe it was that, maybe for the character development later that it made more sense for it to be the other way around, or it was better to be the other way around, but that's kind of a weird change. Like, the whole Ishin thing for later viewing makes more sense as to why they had that. Probably for later, so you can go, what if Ishin just da-da-da-da-da, or what if this had happened this way and this way, instead of, but changing the sisters is a very odd thing. Like, that.
I wonder if
it'd be the other way around.
Yeah. I think the anime made more sense for me for this, because obviously if it's wanting to eat something with a high spiritual pressure, it would go after Karin, who can obviously see ghosts.
Yeah,
compared to Yuzu.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
but then you can also see it from the logic of the manga, because Karin would be more likely to escape it because she can full on see it.
Yeah,
true.
Very true.
No, but she was probably saving Yuzu. That's probably what.
That's true.
That's true, because Yuzu can't see to begin with.
Exactly. See, that makes sense in the manga, is why Yuzu. Yeah, Izu. I said it right. I was about to say Izuru. Why Yuzu would have been caught, would have been obviously because she couldn't see it. But yeah, so that's an interesting change to make. Like, they made that change. See, this is the funny thing, is they realised that change, but they don't realise later on that Byakuya isn't wearing a hiyori in that one episode. That it's interesting to see when and they actually actually paying attention and make a good change.
You know what that is? It's the secret first time Byakuya lost his Haori. That's what it is.
Going undercover.
He's got a bad habit of doing that. God.
It was in the wash. Calm down, right? Okay.
That was the first
his servants forgot to lay it upon his shoulders before he left the house.
He doesn't know how to dress himself.
He probably doesn't.
So the only other.
I was going to say that would have been the first time he would have been at Genryosai's desk going, listen, I need a new Haori. I mean, those things are cheap, but I need a new Haori.
Yeah, Byakuya's priority is not saving money. He's fine.
Right, so then we've got Rukia's comment about the big boy. I had to laugh and write down because I thought it was hysterical. And I feel like it's something you could probably only get away with in the comics, because if you heard that coming from your TV, it would have been something else. It would have been a different show. But there's a scene, and we only see a clip of this in the anime, and it's where Ichigo is sort of training with Rukia. Rukia's reading that comic, but actually she's got Ichigo hitting balls with his like with a baseball bat, and that's but she's then makes a joke about, well, I drew faces on some of them and then hands on the others, and you were meant to hit the ones that didn't have the face. And then he's like, but I can't tell your drawings apart. And so and it's just and then that's like right before the whole Orihime moment where she gets knocked down by the car and stuff. But we've got that. And then at the end of episode 2, where you see it briefly, where Orihime's like in a daydream and Tatsuki's like, you're daydreaming again. But in the manga, we see what the daydream is. And in the manga, it's her daydreaming about Ichigo walking her home, but somehow they go through the park and he's wearing a like suit and it's really cute. And it's a very Orihime Ichigo moment. And obviously she's daydreaming it, but it's still really cute in the manga. And then the other differences I saw was we had a flashback to, and this was very brief in the anime again, where you see Ichigo hiding behind a pole and is like, what's the outfit called again? Shinksuido?
Oh, Shahakusho?
Yeah, that's it, thank you.
Yeah, got you.
Can't say that word, so I'll rely on everybody else to say it for me. But
you're good.
He's worried about other people seeing him dressed like that, so he's hiding behind a lamppost, and Rukia's just like, you're an idiot, nobody can see you. But it's more prominent in the manga, because it's a brief flashback in the anime, but in the manga it takes a bit more, like...
I guess that's the... Yeah, I guess that's obviously the translation from page to reader, and that needs to... It needs to be more elaborate in, obviously, picture form, so people can get it. And I think that's why they had the flashback change also about not flashback, memory change about Orihime, is in the manga it's to cement that, oh, okay, this girl likes him, where in the anime it's easier from like, those small actions she does when animated. So those kind of changes do actually make more sense, because obviously when you're looking at pictures you don't have those small little tuck your hair behind your ear. Not that Orihime does that, but moments what you can easily animate. So
that's true. And then the stars appearing behind her face and her head and everything when he's around. But the last change, this is the final one I'm going to comment on, and this one was very interesting, was in the anime we were told by the hollow brother, that he took Orihime away after their parents abandoned them. But in the manga, actually their parents were abusive. And he was shielding her as a baby from very, very physically abusive parents. And then he runs away with her. Which was...
Oh, wow.
It makes it obviously a lot darker. The manga seems like it's for a much more mature audience already.
I've heard a lot that the manga has always been a lot darker than the anime. Like, on blood-wise, on gore-wise, and even swearing. Like, you find that
some of the outfits are a little different, too. Some of the outfits are a little racier in the manga. One of the Oranka has a very much racier in the manga than it is on screen, and I think that's catering obviously so it can go to a younger audience as well as up. But I find that that darkness we don't get in Bleach that I would have liked personally. I like those dark elements that would have actually made this anime actually a very, very different anime, probably the way they would have animated it, which is interesting to think that. Imagine Bleach as a darker anime, which is what it should have been, from what the manga would have shown. So those comic relief moments would have been more comic relief than silly. Yeah. But I think they probably, I mean, I imagine knowing, like, Kubo's style and the way he fleshes out his characters and stuff, they would have maintained a lot of the humor, too, and I love contrast in a story and character development. I love it when you get a really high-stakes, really intense fight or something, and then I'm, like, crying, laughing 5 minutes later because a character's made a joke about another character.
Guys, so we lost Dale for a moment, but Dale's back. Dale,
I'm back!
You were chatting about the darkness of the anime and stuff, or the manga.
Yeah. I don't know how much I managed to get through before I cut out, but all I was saying really was that I really enjoy the fact that Bleach continuously has a very strong and very successful contrast, I think, between like high stakes action and intensity and humor. Like the amount of times that Bleach has made me cry is a lot, and the amount of times that Bleach has made me laugh so hard that I cry is also a lot, and I love that balance. I think it makes for really successful storytelling. I like it a lot. So even if the anime were darker, I would not be opposed to that in any way. But I think it would be even, maybe the humor would even be elevated to a higher level, and the contrast would be even more stark. I think it could be really exciting, actually.
Let me propose a thought for everyone.
Go for it, Shiki.
Ruh-roh. Yeah, hit it.
What if Bleach, for the first time when it came to English dub, was bought by 4 kids?
Oh my goodness!
Imagine the show that they would have butchered that into.
Oh no, you've just ruined Bleach in my head. Please don't.
I just want everyone to take a minute and think about how this show would have been altered in these 3 episodes alone, not even considering the rest of it, if it was entirely a 4 kids dub.
See, I don't know what that is, so I'm
as a person who was raised on the 2003 reboot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I'm having a really hard time, like, opposing that because my 8-year-old eyes, like, took in every episode of that show and adored it to pieces. So
Elv,
I am not qualified to speak to this at all. I'm so biased.
so Elv, in the anime One Piece, they took out the guns, they took out the cigarettes, they took out everything. They replaced the guns with water guns. They replaced the cigarettes with lollipops.
Oh, I know. I heard about this because Durarara did it too, didn't they?
Did they? I've only seen the stub.
I haven't seen that, but...
Which, okay, I'm also like, why are you trying to make Durarara for kids? The plot is not for kids. Okay.
So it's like Kids Bop. No. So Kids Bop, but dubbed.
I'm just seeing Rukia fighting a hole with a giant banana now instead of like some pop.
No, but you know, she would probably just have a chappy sword. That wasn't actually a sword. It was just a chappy, and that squeaking noises would make every time she hit it, and there would not be blood. There'd be confetti that came out of the bodies.
Yeah.
Or they do like a magic wand, and they just go like magical girl on everyone, and be like, "I expel you to the Soul Society."
Yeah, so I guess we should be blessed that the only real big changes they made were obviously lessening, so it could be a broader range and a bigger audience rather than just completely, cushioning it like with fucking bubble wrap for all the children, and then it would have been a children's anime.
Completely agree, but I still would have absolutely loved to have the big boy comment left in there because it made me laugh and have to reread the manga a couple of times.
I would have liked the darker scenes, like especially because like all the way into the new stuff that we're about to get with the 1,000-year Blood War arc. Anyone that's read the manga, we know damn well there's going to be some brutal moments in that.
And the animation's gotten better.
No, but like that's all I need to say, to be honest, is that
Shiki spoilers, there are fights.
Sorry.
Don't get into any more than that.
No, we won't.
So, like, that's a spoiler. They do use the Zanpakutos. They do clash together with the Zanpakutos. It's a big thing. But like, even the stuff that isn't in the Blood War, like with one of their uncut and the outfit, there's so much that it's at least it's a decent kind of covering up or what's the word? Censoring. It's a nice kind of censoring, not like a childlike censoring.
Oh,
so I don't
God,
feel
or like the
being
Tokyo Ghoul
patronised
thing
too.
where they literally put a big black slash all the way across the screen.
Oh, don't even talk to me about that, because that still pisses me off to this day.
It's pretty brutal.
Oh, I didn't even remember it until you just said that. I'm just like...
Yep, here to help.
That's probably why I haven't rewatched most of Tokyo Ghoul.
But yeah, I think from the manga, from what I've seen so far, there hasn't been much censoring of the blood. I think the blood level in the manga that I've seen so far up to this point is similar-ish, apart from that final scene with the brother. There might have been just a little bit more blood on Tatsuki, but there hasn't been anything of major change from that aspect yet. Just the abusive parents, the big boy comment, just certain things that they're like, okay, we need to change that to make it a bit more like for 15-year-olds, not for the potential larger, older audience that it could have ended up having to be aimed at. So, but yeah, no, that was all the manga stuff that I've got on my notes. So,
yeah, I did have one question. So, full disclosure, straight up, I don't speak Japanese. I have studied a little, and I've studied a little Chinese, so I can read some of it sometimes. But so something that I kind of wanted to get Shiki's take on actually is the way that Rukia speaks in the original Japanese versus how it's translated. Like, I watched Bleach dubbed the first time I watched it, and I kind of didn't get Rukia. Like, I didn't really know who she was. I wasn't particularly drawn to her. I didn't really get the drawings. I didn't really understand why she was having all these intense emotions about all of these intense things. It just, like, something kind of just didn't click. And then I watched it in the Japanese, subbed, and I heard, like, the formality in her voice and her whole demeanor, and everything about her character suddenly made so much sense.
Yeah.
So I guess that's something that I sort of just wanted to bring up, because if anybody's only watched the dub, it might be something, like, I didn't realize it until I started engaging with the original Japanese in some capacity. So, like, there are things about Rukia's entire bearing. Like, she is super, super formal, and then she does these really goofy drawings, and that's really, really funny, but I didn't know that for a long time. So I guess I just wondered, Shiki, if there's, like, anything about the way that Rukia speaks or presents herself or whatever that might be lost in translation for an English-speaking audience.
Yes, there's definitely something. I'm going to have to re-listen to her, what she says exactly again, but there is this terminology in Japanese called keigo, which is one of the various ways you can speak to other people. It's the polite form, like a junior to their senior, a employee to their employer. It's all about having a very formal way of speaking, showing respect. And it is like almost a language within the language, if you want to put it that way, because there are at least 3 various ways you can speak in Japanese that I'm aware of, and keigo is just the more polite one, and then you have like a more volatile form which you'd speak with your friends. And I believe Rukia definitely does use keigo a lot more.
That's an
Cool.
interesting
That's
fact.
kind of all I was asking. Yeah, I just wanted to...
Yeah, I'm
I
definitely
wondered if there was something that somebody
that.
who's actually studied might be able to highlight that I can't. Yeah.
I did see that kind of too, because I don't know much about... like, obviously I never studied or spoke Japanese, but I did actually want to watch some episodes and sub to see that, because I've learnt that I'm currently learning, it's not Japanese, but I'm currently learning Korean, that it does, especially with the Asian languages, there is always, as Shiki was saying, that formality, like different ways of speaking to people. And I was actually curious now knowing that in Korean and in Japanese they have that elders thing. I wanted to very much go to see how they all talk to each other, like specifically between how the captains talk to, their squads, and then outside, like Ichigo, how they, like, Byakuya specifically talking to Ichigo, does he still use formality, or does he change it? Like, obviously it'll be harder for me to recognize because I don't know Japanese, but it's just that instinct, that that knowledge that I learned whilst learning Korean, that there's those formalities, those formal ways of talking. very interesting. So I actually like that you brought that up because I was actually very curious about that too.
Yeah. There's also one, I might not have clocked this totally correctly, but I think Orihime might be the only person that Ichigo speaks to using her family name and not her given name. I think he calls her Inoue and everybody else is just like, I'm gonna use your name because I'm a punk. I think.
I guess
he
that's depending
he maintains
on
that level
dub,
of...
though.
Yeah, I'm talking about the sub, for sure.
Okay.
That's
why I was like, wait. Yeah,
yeah. Just because I think
Sorry.
casually calling her Orihime or whatever, in like it'd be like me calling you Elv, right? Like it's chill, it's casual, it super doesn't matter. But there's like a level of, I don't know, respect, maybe?
Yeah, it's definitely a respect
definitely.
thing.
Yeah, that
Toshiro.
exists between...
Well,
yeah, and that's
name.
another, that's like, it's Captain Hitsugaya means so much more. Like, of course he wants to be called that and not Toshiro by this frickin' punk.
But I guess that's a thing that I find is interesting, that I think a lot of Western cultures will never completely get that. Like, I think, it's a funny little quirk, but it's a big thing, and especially in Asian countries, especially going back to, because again, I don't know much about Japanese, but in the Korean, they have specific names and specific ways you have to address people older than you or of a higher rank than you. It's that respect level.
Same in Japanese.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that's how I can kind of draw the links, because thankfully Asian languages have a lot of that link between it. Like, obviously, like, for example, in Korean, it's like hyung for your older brothers, and you have your specific particles to make things formal. And obviously, it's still a funny quirk that Toshiro is so adamant on this position, but to us in the Western culture, obviously, we'll find it more funny and like, oh, he's kind of stuck up kind of thing, where in the actual culture of Japan, they'll understand that that's a big thing for all the captains. Like, even Byakuya being annoyed when Ichigo calls him by his first name. He's like,
it's very disrespectful. Ichigo just waltzes in there and calls everyone pretty much, but, well, he doesn't call Ukitake by his first name, actually. He respects Ukitake. Just want to put that out there.
Which is
not that I've been paying attention.
Not biased.
I have a whole thing about Ukitake's pronoun choice, too. Yeah. He avoids pronouns like the plague. It's wild. Anyway.
Yeah, like that. Oh, it's... Oh.
We could honestly keep talking about this for so long, I think. But we need to
I'll probably bring it up again later, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, one thing that I am noticing is you can tell that we're really keen for this and we know the series very well, because if we were coming to this new, we wouldn't know half the stuff or have the knowledge on half the stuff that we do.
That's true.
So we'll move on to the diving into the dung guy, I think, now. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Shiki, on you go.
So here we're going to be talking a little bit about the news going on in the Bleach world. I'm going to start off by announcing that Netflix, at least in North America, you'll have to check it on other countries to see if you got this as well, but the Assault and Bound arcs are now officially on Netflix. So if you guys are watching with us, you can easily legally stream it over on Netflix.
It's not in the UK, unfortunately.
Yeah, can't relate.
Sucks
Also, though, I will, going on from that, I do very much suggest just skipping over that Bound arc thing. I'm not biased at all. Totally not saying this of, like, any bias.
The Bound arc is my favorite arc.
You're gonna have to fight me, dear. Because, I mean, okay, fine. I'll leave you the Bound arc if you leave me the Invading Army arc. Because Zanpakuto arc is canon. I don't care what anyone says. It's not canon in books, but Kubo says he likes it, so I don't care. But give me the Invading Army arc, and I'll give you your Bound arc. We'll
I am not watching the Bout arc again. The Bout arc made me nearly stop watching Bleach.
Fine, I'll watch it on my own and talk about it.
I paused for a minute. Yeah. Although on this, we're only doing
moments in the Bound arc. Go for it.
I think our intention is to do canon arcs on the podcast, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So the Bound arc is there if for some reason you want it, listeners.
If you want to please Shiki, go watch the Bound arc. But
if you guys love Bound arc, you can geek out about it with me. I'm here for you.
You just have to come and join our Discord server then to talk to Shiki about it.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
go. Okay, good. Yes. Shiki, what else have we got in news?
All right, next up, we also have an announcement that Studio Pierre, who animated Bleach, is now partners with K-Lab, the developers for Bleach Brave Souls. So, as if they didn't have an official blessing by Kubo himself at this point, I say this is definitely making their stuff more canon, especially with this next interesting piece of news. Now, there are 3 new characters you can get in Bleach Brave Souls. And they are, I'm going to butcher these names.
I believe in you.
Okay, so we have Askin Naklevar.
That's my boy. I talked about him last week. Moving on.
We have...
Sorry, love that guy.
I don't know who any of these characters are. I have not read Thousand Year Blood War yet.
Yeah, same. No idea.
We have Bambietta.
Oh, man.
Then we have Candace.
Oh, man. Okay, cool. I'm going to play BBS. Sorry.
You can tell Dale and I know the Blood War arcade because we were sitting here going, oh.
Yeah. This is the first I'm hearing of this as well, so this is so exciting. Oh, I'm so excited about Askin. Oh my gosh.
So,
I don't even play this game and I'm stoked.
You're gonna have to pull up this game, you know.
I mean, maybe. I've tried a million times. I can't tolerate the gameplay even when I let it happen on auto. I'm so sorry. I just look at screenshots on Tumblr later.
I mean, even if you ask our resident BBS player in our server, I'm gonna keep secretly linking the server every time. She'll also tell you that it's worth it, yet also not worth it. You know, the only thing is the addiction of the characters. Going on from that, back to you, Shiki.
All right. So with these character announcements, if I can speak, we also have the voice actors for these characters in game. Now, there is no confirmation as to whether or not these will be also the voice actors in the anime return. But with Pierre Studios joining up with Brave Souls, and with how much official incorporation they have with Kubo, I'm going to say there's a pretty good chance that these voice actors are more than likely going to be. Yeah. So, actually, I'm going to leave Askin for last. I had him first. So.
Just to tease Dale.
No, it's cute. I like it. I love what you're doing, Shiki. Keep going.
For Bambietta, we have Taketatsu Ayane, who has also voiced on Keion as Azasa Nakno, or Azanyan, for all those who love Keion. You can talk about that with me later. Great show. She voices on Sword Art Online as Suguha Kirigaya, or Lifa. She voices on Dog Days as Eclair. If you've seen Dog Days, I give you 50 bonus points. And
I'm negative then.
And on the wonderful off-brand anime, Kiss X Sis as Ako Suminoe.
Man, I need to up my repertoire of animes that I've been watching.
That last one is basically hentai.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll leave that one out.
To each their own.
For children.
Okay, good to know.
For Candace, we have the voice actor Uchiyama Yumi, who has previously played on an anime that is very close to my heart, Usagi Drop, as Kazumi Kawachi. She plays also in The Devil's a Part-Timer as Mayumi.
Such an underrated show.
Yeah, so Mick Ronald's manager. So
heck yeah.
Oh, that gave me such flashes of flashbacks. I love that anime.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a good one.
She also plays everyone's favorite badass sister of Asterix War, Irene if I can pronounce this, Urazai's, because that is not Japanese. And also Puck from ReZero, but I refuse to talk about that anime any further.
Good, because this is a Bleach podcast anyway, so we're all good with that.
Good. And finally, we have Askin, who's going to be voiced by Shunsuke Takeuchi, who has previously worked on Haikyuu as Kentaro Kyotani.
Oh, nice! Oh, cool!
Danganronpa V3 as Gonta Gokuhara,
Bro.
and Kingdom Hearts 3
Someone's
as
excited.
Olaf.
Oh,
Yeah, I got nothing for that one.
I'm like, Olaf, yay!
I was gonna say, just a moment, just let that sink in, because I'm just like, whoa.
So
like, I don't
good.
even watch the subbed, but I am so excited for the people that watch the sub. Like, I'm having a moment of just sitting here like, wow, this is real, guys. Like even just talking about Studio Pierrot, like, them obviously collabing with K-Lab is because it's coming back, and I'm just having a moment of like, guys, this is real. Like, I still have those moments of this shit's coming
This
back.
is happening. I know.
I've been
that
crying since 2016, and now I can smile again.
Do you know? As soon as I put that intro on and see that intro that just gets you right in the feels. The
8
Bleach,
years, guys.
Oh, honestly, and I was so excited just listening to the. I actually went back just to listen to the intro again, and I was like, oh, it's so good.
That and at the end of the first episode, Ichigo's #1 theme song. When that first started playing, I was like, oh man, if you want to see some action, oh my god, it's classic.
#1, so good.
Now you feel like #1.
It'll be the #1 anime for me. I don't care what anybody has to say. Yes, it is a love or hate anime, but it'll always forever be my #1 anime. Even if I have negatives to say about it, even if there's a lot I can say that is bad about it, I will always, for the life of me, will always be my #1 anime. And nobody can tell me otherwise. Like, fight me.
Totally agree. And speaking of favourites, we're going to come into what our favourites have been in the fandom this week. So this could be a favourite piece of art, a favourite story, a favourite anything really that's popped up that we've really liked. Will we start with Dale?
Yeah, sure. So this one, I wanted to get this one kind of like out of the way first episode because it's not actually brand new, but it's something that I wanted to mention because I just think it is so well made and so lovely. There is a series called Bleach S Abridged by Project Mouthwash on YouTube, and it's a straightforward abridged series.
Project Mouthwash.
Yeah, that's what it's called. And there's also, I want to say, sometimes you'll find it under Blazing Azure Crow as well, but I think the YouTube channel is called Project Mouthwash. If you search for Bleach S Abridged, you'll find it. And I've shown this to folks who haven't seen Bleach, and the comedy is so good that even without context, folks are laughing. The writing is impeccable. There's a guy called Logan Laidlaw who voices, I want to say, 90% of the characters, literally, not an exaggeration. And his vocal work is stunning. It's like everything you would expect out of an abridged series. It's parody, it's comedy, it follows the plot roughly, but it does funny things, and there are jokes that build on jokes the more you watch. But if you like Bleach, and if you're listening to this podcast, I hope to God that you do. I truly, I can't recommend this enough if you want some laughs. Like, it is so funny, and it is so well made. I can't emphasize either of those more than the other because both are so true and so key. So yeah, like I want to share this with absolutely everyone. It's so funny.
This is shot to the top of my to watch list. I will be watching that this week.
I can't recommend it enough. It's stunning.
To go with that, to show just how much it is, I am someone who doesn't like abridged, and I adore this series. Like,
yeah, I usually don't.
Just to hype up that my favorite abridged ever is the Diamond Dust Rebellion abridged. I cried myself.
What is it called? What's it called again?
I want to fight the man, and I'm just.
It's called like A Very Kenpachi Christmas for no reason or something too, isn't it? It's great.
All about Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, someone saw Christmas. Toshiro's trying to get this artifact back, but he's also trying to find Christmas because Toshiro's Christmas spirit is just not there. And I'm like, I can't. And he just wants to fight the man.
This sounds amazing.
Oh, and so Elle, if you're into that, then all I have to say is dragon. Okay, I'm stoked.
Okay, Lethan, you have to watch it.
I will watch it.
It's lovely. So that's my fandom thing rec of the week, even if it's been around for a couple of years now. It's so lovely, y'all. Check it out.
Man, somebody else is going to have to go next then, because mine is a totally different tune to that. So who's going next?
Not me.
I'll go next then.
Go for it, Shiki.
So for the fandom, I love looking at cosplays. It's always something I've loved, the costume designs, how much work and heart people put into their cosplay. And for this week, I want to shout out Celeriv on Instagram. That's CELERIV_, who late last year cosplayed as Neliel, the adult version. And I think she did a really good job on it.
Ooh, we're going to have to look that one up now for sure. I'm excited by that one.
Yes.
What about you?
Well, mine doesn't completely stack up to that brilliant, and either of those. But I think one of my favorites would have to be a fic that I've read recently by someone in our server of name of Nova, or as her fic.
Is this the April Challenge fic that she done?
Yeah, Reijin Hakume. The lovely Nova wrote this brilliant idea for me, and I just couldn't. I can't stress enough how much her the way she describes things is so lovely, and I'm gonna totally poke this.
Tell us about it. Tell us what it's about.
So it's called The Son of Winter, and we don't exactly know what he is per se, but it's got a lovely story so far in the first chapter between Hyorimaru and Toshiro in a AU, so it's definitely not canon. And let's just say Toshiro came from Hyorimaru's one wishes to not be lonely anymore, and I was on VC with her when I was reading it, and I was screaming at her with how much I loved it, and I
read that piece and it was so good. It was really, the visuals, you're right, the way that she sets the scenes and everything, and that is such a good read. And you do find out what they are later. It's I'm not going to say anything because it's a bit of a spoiler anyway for the story for anybody going to read it. But what was it called again, so people can find it?
The Son of Winter. So if you want to read a good Toshiro fic, I will admit you have to be open to your shipping, because it's not everyone's cup of tea for later on. But it's, at least read the first chapter. It's bloody brilliant. It's that, you can't see it, but I'm putting up, great signs of so that's a shout out to Nova if you're listening. Yes, I am shaming you on the podcast because you're brilliant. That was a brilliant piece, so thank you for that.
Well, that's a great segue into mine, because mine is actually a fan fiction as well, and it's also from the April Challenge that was written in the server too. My shout out has to go to who is a good friend of mine, is going to Geisha. Yeah, Geisha. Because she wrote a fic that actually made me stop and question my morale, and I think that was why I really fell in love with it, because I read it thinking it was going to be like a cute, fluffy piece. And it ended up making me seriously question what I would do in a situation and how I'd respond. So without giving too much away, I believe it's called Blindside. I'll just double check that just now. But her fic is, you can find it on Archive of Our Own, and you can also find it on Fanfiction Net. I don't think she posts anywhere else. And it's called Blindsided Roar of the Waves, and it is like a Rangiku and Toshiro alternative universe, so it's not set in the canon world. But there is a scene in it where there was a moment where I actually had to stop reading, and I sat there questioning, what would I have done in that situation? And it led to like a 15-minute discussion with her about what I would and wouldn't have done. And wondering if it made me a bad person, genuinely started questioning my character.
And then Geisha sitting there regretting, because now she has to listen to you question your life.
I know. But she was also...
good makes you think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was what I really, really liked about it as well. So it's only like 9,000 odd words, I believe. I'll double check that just now. Yeah. Well, that's not too bad to read. You can read that in an hour, depending on how fast you read. Even less time than that, actually. It's really good. So it's 9,300 words long. It's just one chapter, and it's absolutely worth it. And it was Blindsided Roar of the Waves in brackets, and it is written by Geisha, and she spells her name with 3 A's at the end. So it's Geishaa, and you can find her on FanfictionNet and also on Archive of Our Own. So definitely go check that one out.
Speaking of the places, I forgot to mention that Nova's fic is on Archive of Your Own as well. So just mentioning that too, because I forgot to say
Yes.
where it was. So, yeah. But speaking of the April challenges, just a moment too. I'm just going to keep plugging the Seireitei server because it is a brilliant server. So if you want to take part in these challenges that we'll be having, we're having another one. Is it monthly? I've completely forgotten if it's...
Yeah, the next one. I don't think we've told anybody yet, but we could maybe announce it on the podcast what the next one's going to be, right?
Oh, that sounds exciting.
It's, we've not got it fully laid out yet, but it is.
Can say it.
It is going to be a birthday thing because the Seireitei's birthday is coming up. The Discord server's birthday is going to be next month, so we're planning
perfect.
a big birthday thing for that. I'm not going to give too much away, but there might be some Secret Santa theme vibe going on with it. So definitely make sure that you join our server in time for that for sure.
Yeah. So if you're a fanfiction writer or creator, even art,
visual art,
jump into our server, or even if you just want to be on the podcast side, we have two different sides going on. So we got your creative fanfiction community and your artist community, and then you have joining us with the podcast chat and being a part of what we do. And we would love to just have you in. We have brilliant atmosphere, and we have great little hooligans and our little dorks that we love to death on here, and the voice chat is always blowing up. So
this is one of the only servers I'm in where the voice chat is constantly popping. Not gonna lie.
I mean, the good thing is listen, I'm not gonna lie, I am, but it's good for me that I'm always in it because at least there's always a mod present if you have any questions.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but yeah, definitely we have, it's active. If you want somewhere that's active, because I know that a lot of people that I've heard say something, they want something Bleach related but they're not active unless it's specifically ship related. So if you want to come to a place where it's active at least, and you can talk Bleach, you can scream at each other when Bleach comes back, definitely go into the link or just, type in Seireitei server on Tumblr and everything, and obviously
we're on Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter. We've got all the links in the description in the summary. But just search TheSeireitei, Bleach TheSeireitei on Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter. You'll find us.
Yeah, just come with a positive vibe and you'll fit in. Because as much as even though the links are at the end of it, even though I'm only a mod and I'm very proud of being in the server. It's a brilliant server to be in. I've made some new friends, so please come join our family. But moving on to our awards, is that the next segment?
We don't have a name for this section yet, so if any listeners has a name for what these awards should be called, let us know. Reach out to us on the server or on Twitter or on Instagram or on Tumblr.
Make them cheesy. Delving into the donga was my great creativity because I'm such a cheesy little shit that way. So bring your best naming because we're bad at it apparently.
We love some cheese.
We love cheese. More cheese the better.
Good stuff.
Shiki, do you want to start us off with your awards then? So the awards, just really briefly, the awards are who wore it the best ship, and the best double take, or the double take award as well. So Shiki, do you want to lead us off?
All right. So for who wore it best, I gave the award to Tatsuki for her outfit when she was visiting Orihime.
We would just do who wore it best for everybody then, and then just circle it.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. All right. Go for it then. Who's up next?
I'll go if that's okay.
Go for it.
My best is probably who wore it best because it will probably be a running theme. Is Ichigo's forehead and his own blood, because he always blood forever. It will be a running trend with me, but what wore it best is definitely his forehead. That sounds like a bad joke, but you'll understand in the coming episodes, or if you've been here a while. Oh, Ichigo, his forehead.
Dale, what about you?
Yeah, so Tatsuki's outfit is my first runner-up. I was really torn, but I have to give it to Sora Inoue in his business suit. He looks fine.
Always.
Oh, yes, very true, very true. This will give everybody a good insight into my sense of humour. My who wore it the best was the Hollow that wore Orihime's dead brother.
Nice! Yes!
Pulled that look off real well.
Oh my gosh.
That'll be a running theme.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a joke you made in private once before that got me crying.
Oh yeah, that's coming back. That's coming back. Wait till we get to those episodes.
I swear to God, you got it.
Then we've got the best ship. Shiki, coming back to you.
So for me, I have it for Ishin and Masaki because the way he praises the poster, missing her.
Following on the order, I'll probably go next. Again, it's going to be a running theme from the next one is Ichigo in the ground.
Yep, good.
It's gonna be. It's a running. It's a canon. It's a canon ship.
Oh, I love that. Oh.
Yep. The ship that I chose was Ishin Kurosaki's fist and Ichigo's face. Classic.
Do you know
I'm realizing how much I love Ishin, by the way. This is something I'm discovering in this rewatch through. He's great.
So good. Do you know, mine's isn't far off from Dell's, actually, but mine, instead of being Ishin's fist, it's Rukia's drawing skills, because that moustache was perfect.
Yes, yes.
Face. So good, so good. And then we come into double take, so this is a moment that maybe we had to rewatch or go back and see again, or just something that made us go, what? So Shiki, what did you have?
So I didn't so much have a double take this run through of it, but I remember the very first time I watched this first episode, I double took when Ishin was fawning over Masaki's poster. I was like, what kind of guy is this? And why can't he be my dad?
Oh my
God.
I've got to say my favorite part. I don't know whether it had to be a double take because reading is so annoying for me, but it's the moment when Rukia and Ichigo meet again at school, and Miss Ditzy Rukia wants to talk to Ichigo outside, and hands her hand to politely warn him not to make a scene or he's bloody dead. So I had to cry off that one. That just stands out to me because I had to watch it and just laugh at it a couple times before moving on because my humor is that boring.
No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, mine is like not super cute or super funny, but for me it was like the first time you hear the sound that hollows make, kind of. Because it's something that I was thinking about in this rewatch was as an active participant in Bleach fandom, it's really easy to get used to hollows, kind of, and that sound is chilling, but we've all heard it a million times now. And so watching this again with fresh eyes, I was kind of like, oh, wow, hollows are really scary and really powerful. And so when you first hear that sound, I don't know how they manufactured that sound, but it hits the right frickin' chord. Yeah. And imagine hearing that in the real world. Yeah.
I'm waiting one night to hear it outside my window, and I'm just
like,
well,
honestly, I wouldn't discount it at this point. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of my double take is like hollows in general, kind of, and like how big and how scary and how powerful they actually are, especially in the early days of Bleach.
Yeah, you really don't appreciate how terrifying they are in the later seasons.
Because they kill them
so it gets to be so casual. Like, hollows seem like a really casual antagonist. It's like, they're messing up the Rukon guy. Guess we'll go out there and slice them in half, and then we'll go have a cup of tea. Like, that's not actually the vibe, but it's easy to forget that.
Yeah. And mine was, and it's something I mentioned twice already on this podcast, so I'll just give it a very brief shout out again, was that actually for the manga, doubling back on that big boy comment, because it really made me chuckle.
Yes!
I just love Rukia. Just love her. Cool, so that brings us to the very end of our podcast, guys. Thank you very much for listening. So we'll quickly find out where you can find everybody. So Dale, where can people find you?
You can find me all over. It'll be in the show notes, but your best bet is to find me on Tumblr at sonnets and snowdrops with hyphens between each word. From there, you can get to my AO3. I think you can get to my cosplay Instagram and stuff from there, too. So yeah, hit me up on Tumblr, and we'll go from there.
You can find me everywhere with the name Shikibara, Shikibara, except on Twitter, where it's Shikibaka. If you follow me there, you'll understand why.
Still funny. Still funny.
Well, I still have yet to make any other kind of account for anything else. I will update you if I ever do, but right now, as always, you can just find me on the Discord as Elv, or if you're in the Seireitei, I'll have a very nice Hitsugaya nickname with pretty little snowflakes, so it's pretty easy to find me on the Discord.
Yeah. And I'm going to jump on the back of that one there as well, because my other socials are tied to something else. So I say that you find Elvin I definitely in the Discord server. You'll find me as LethanWolf, or Rukia, I've got my name down as Rkuchki. You'll find us in the Discord server. And again, you can find the Discord server by searching for TheSeireitei on Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and get into our Discord server and come and say hi. And we'd love to have you. And Del, what are our episodes that we're going to be looking at for next week?
Yeah, next episode we're going to hit episodes 4, 5, 6, and 7, and that'll wrap up another little mini arc.
Nice.
So get stoked. And that's all I have to say.
All right.
Is it that already?
You know what? You know exactly what I'm doing with my hands too.
On a podcast, that sounds so ominous, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. If you know, you know, and if you don't know, find out next week, or whenever we get around to recording the next episode,
which will hopefully be as soon as possible, guys. We'll catch you in the next episode. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.